YouTubers, and welcome back to Artbooks Reviewed. Now, some people say to me, they say,
"Hey, Artbook reviewer, you've got a lot of books."
and my response to them is always the same. I say, you're right, I do. And then the second question comes,
How do you afford all of them? You must be rich.
and they're right, I do have a lot, but I'm by no means rich. I have a few crafty strategies for acquiring, for sourcing art books, which I have either for my own personal enjoyment or specifically to review on this channel. And this video, I'm going to share with you some of my top strategies for sourcing those books. Now, the things I'm going to tell you are really useful tips, and actually they can be applied to other things as well. So it's not just books in some cases. These can be used to acquire other items and products cheaply too. So yes, I do have a lot of books. I have several bookcases full of books, in fact. And here you can see some of the many lovely art books that I own. Sometimes these are art books to do with sort of films or TV series or shows. Some of them are specifically related to games and gaming. And then others are just probably more just to do with like digital illustration, digital art and artworks. I really like that too. So they tend to fall into those three genres, if you will. But there are a few books that don't fall into those either. And I actually have a lot of children's picture books as well, because I have children of my own, and I loved children's books as I was growing up, and I still love them today. So I've collected and kept hold of a lot of those for myself and for my own family. So here we go. I'm about to tell all and sort of share my trade secrets. I can't believe I'm doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm going to do it anyway. So listen up, guys. Okay, so we'll start with the obvious, with the well-known auction site, eBay. eBay is a great place for buying books. You can search for a title of a book. So you can type in here, for example. I mean, you don't need me to tell you how to use eBay, do you? You could type it in there. You could type by ISBN as well. Sometimes a good way to find books. And of course, then when you've got a list of matches, you can then, I would normally restrict it to buy it now only, and then sort it by lowest price. And then you'll automatically be looking at kind of the lowest one available. And of course, you need to have a little look at a few things here, like what's the condition. So for example, this first match is pre-owned, but the second one's actually new. When it says new other, that often means they're trying to sell it as new, but actually there's something that stops it from being new. So maybe, I don't know, it's got the cellophane off or something like that. So you've got a quick look at the condition. Also, where it's coming from Germany and the postage, you've got to bear that in mind. But essentially there you can see lots of results. Now, sometimes if you search for another book, like say Art of The Last of Us is a good example, for example, you know what I mean. Now I'm looking for the book, The Art of The Last of Us, but what I won't find, especially if I'm sorting this by lowest price, is the books to begin with, because it's a fairly expensive book. You'll get all this crud. Well, it's all nice crud, isn't it? But it's not what I'm looking for. So what you could start to do is filter stuff out with the minus. So the minus poster, I don't want any of that. I don't want a mug. I don't want anything to do with decor. You get a lot of this kind of merchandise showing up. Print. Let's try that. Now, if I do that, we'll automatically have wiped out a load of stuff. We're starting to see matches now for The Art of The Last of Us Part 2. Now, if I'm only looking for the first one, I don't want that either. So I could remove 2 and 2. Whoops. Hang on, make sure that you don't leave a space between the minus and the term. So now that's automatically removed a few more things. Now we've got a magnet. I'm not interested in magnets. We're looking at books here, dudes. So magnet, and a coaster. I don't want that. Sooner or later, I don't want stamps. You'll start to really reduce those results down, so you're just looking at the book. Now I wanted to show you this because obviously with the God of War game there that we look at, game book, we got the instant results that were relevant. Not so for this. I'm going to keep narrowing it down. Finally, we're starting to see what we actually want. So we've really kind of narrowed down the search terms by removing a lot of the crud. Bear in mind also that you are able to save this search as well if you're logged in, and then you can also set this up for multiple books if you've got time. Save the search, and you can opt to be notified by email if a new product appears from a seller on eBay and matches these terms. That's really useful and powerful. You can be notified, you can go in and buy it if the price is right. Okay, so that's one search strategy. Another search strategy is to use the auction tool. So obviously this requires a bit more waiting because auctions run over a period of days, don't they? But if you go to auction and then list ending soonest, you'll see the ones, now there's only one in this case, which is interesting, but you'll see the ones that are about to end, and you can maybe nip in and get a last minute bid there. In my experience, you're often able to get a better deal on an auction item than a buy it now item. That's not obviously true for all cases, but just in my experience, I've managed to get a better price on things if I buy them via auction. But obviously, that requires you to be patient and to wait until the auction ends. Also, if you're not particularly bothered about the title, if you're just sort of browsing for a few sorts of books that might take your fancy, so let me give you an example. If I'm looking for the art of books and I want them to be hardcover and maybe even, let's say, limited edition, I'm not actually bothered which, I'm just looking for some interesting books that I might want to buy. If I put those terms in, okay, I've been a little bit too specific. Let's take the limited edition out. Okay, we've got some now. Yeah, basically this will give us all books that match, the art of an hardcover. Some books will have the facility where you can make an offer. So sellers can give you the option to make an offer. And I wouldn't sniff at this. I use this sometimes when I'm looking for books. But what I would say is, please don't be cheeky. I've sold a few books too in the past. And when somebody puts in a really low offer, a cheeky, rude, low offer, it just is so deflating and it kind of makes me want to reply in a rude way. So, let's be realistic here. Put something sensible in, not just sort of go for something ridiculous because people have got feelings at the end of the day. Let's move on to the second giant, and that is Amazon. Okay, in a lot of respects, Amazon is a better place to find books. Sure, you can get them on eBay, and some people will only sell on eBay, so you'd have to go there to get them. But I think that Amazon it started with books, didn't it, really? That's where Amazon kind of came from originally, and it's grown and grown into sells everything. You can buy, anything, can't you, on Amazon nowadays? But you can search for title by ISBN. Obviously, you can limit your search to just the books category as well, which is useful. I often pick up books on Amazon that are used as well. I don't always need to buy a book that's got like a cellophane seal. I don't need that. If I'm going to open it, read it, and put it on my shelf, I don't want to have to pay a premium for that privilege of taking off some plastic. So the other thing is obviously you can have a little look at the seller's description of the condition, and that's a useful guide. So I try and go for things that I like new if I can, or very good. Sometimes if it's a rarish book, I'll go for good or even acceptable at a push. And more often than not, I find certainly Amazon and Amazon Warehouse, where used items are listed, they tend to be fairly honest and forgiving in their condition description. So often I'll buy a book that's very good. Occasionally it'll arrive, it'll still be sealed, so I'm often pretty happy with the condition I get from Amazon Warehouse. And you can always send them back to Amazon, remember, as well. So if you receive a book and it's just all bashed about, you can always send it back and get a refund. Okay, so when we're talking about Amazon, it would be crazy not to mention Camel, 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 or the three camels. And basically you can go to the website camelcamelcamel.com. You can just use it without an account, although I think it's much more useful if you register and have an account with them, because then you're able to actually do some price watches. So you can put some items in there and do price watches. Let's have a look at Camel, Camel, Camel. So this is the Camel, Camel, Camel website. There's also a really useful Camel, Camel, Camel extension in the Chrome browser, which I use. So you need to install that extension, and then it sits on your sort of toolbar at the top and allows you to do cool things with items that you're looking at on any Amazon pages. There is also an app for Camel, 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 but I downloaded it and tried it, and I didn't actually like it as much as the extension or the website itself, which has the full range of tools. I don't know, maybe just me, maybe I should give it another go, but I remember just looking at it and thinking, nah. Okay, finally, and this is also a really useful thing that I use, you can create a wish list. You can create multiple wish lists on your Amazon account, and most people, I think, because this is the way it's designed to be used, use this to sort of put like, I want these things list together, and maybe it's like Christmas presents they want, or just generally I'm interested in these things, and there's the ability to make that public or share it with kind of friends and family. If you're thinking of buying me something, look at my wish list, I want these things, you know? So that's what wish lists I think are designed for, but you can also use them as a private wish list for your own private use, where you can basically add any books that you're interested in buying to your wish list. Your wish list, it's not a wish list. And then you can keep tabs on that. And it's really useful because I've got a couple of wish lists for my books. Every time I see a book that I'm interested in, which is perhaps, you know, fairly expensive, for example, I don't tend to do it with the cheap books, but if it's a fairly expensive sort of deluxe or limited edition one and I'm after it and I want it and I don't want to pay a lot, I'll add it to my wish list. Finally, we've looked at eBay and Amazon. They're the two, you know, the big hitters, if you like, the ones that I use the most. I think that are the most useful. And we've looked at the Camel website and extension too. Finally, bookfinder.com is a really useful website. And if you just go to bookfinder.com, it allows you to do a pretty advanced search for books online. So if you've whittled down your list to, you found a book on Amazon used and it's a decent price, you want to buy it, it's always worth, just before you check out, going to Bookfinder and searching by ISBN, I normally do, or you can do it via title, and just seeing if it is available from another seller or another merchant somewhere online at a better price. Now bear in mind that Bookfinder does tell you that it searches hundreds, thousands of retailers. Sometimes it doesn't search everywhere. So there's always an option to do a little manual poke about as well. So if you happen to think that maybe Waterstones have got that, you might have to go and look on Waterstone's website. I'm not sure, as I say, whether Bookfinder does actually interrogate every single bookseller online. I'm sure it doesn't. I know it doesn't. And Bookfinder will show you used and new as well, so that's useful. One final mention as well, I do actually buy quite a few books from Forbidden Planet, from their website, forbiddenplanet.com, and I think they're a great seller of the kind of books that I buy, art books, sci-fi books, games, movie books, things like that, because they've got some quite interesting books often as well. They'll often have signed editions you can't get anywhere else, have limited edition versions of books. And also they have really good sales fairly regularly where you can pick up their stock at a much reduced price. I don't know whether they have limited warehouse space. They certainly wouldn't be able to compete with the behemoth that is Amazon, for example. So maybe from time to time they need to clear some stock. And what they do is they have a really good sale where you can get books heavily reduced. So I always keep an eye out for Forbidden Planet's website and their notification emails as well when they announce a sale. So don't forget them. So there we have it. I've shared with you some of my top tips. These are things that I do on a weekly, sometimes daily basis to find, to source and purchase cheap books. It works. It means that I can have this collection without having to spend millions of pounds to have the privilege. So I hope this is useful. As I say, some of these tips can be used with other products. It's not just books. But it's mainly geared towards, or I certainly use these tips for book collecting. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you found it useful, please like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you again next time.